Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the World Through a Lens podcast, where I interview people within the VR space to get their perspective and talk about what they're currently working on. In this week's interview, I sit down with two people from Spectral Games, lead developer Grzegorz Fojcik and art director Bartek Repetowski, to talk about their new game, Medieval Dynasty, New Settlement. If you would like to submit a question for any of my upcoming guests when they're announced, go over to Twitter at VizmVR, VIZMVR, and just send me a DM or reply with a comment on the announcement tweet once my guests are announced, and I will try to make sure to get that question onto the show. Being Spectral Games' first game, they bring Medieval Dynasty from the flat screen to VR. This is not a one-for-one port. This is an entirely new game, just taken from the Medieval Dynasty IP. Dive into the rich tapestry of medieval life with Medieval Dynasty New Settlement, an exhilarating VR spin-off game that seamlessly blends sandbox, role-playing, simulation, and exploration. The game is currently only available on the MetaQuest store for $24.99. Also, at the tail end of the episode, I will be debuting a new podcast segment, Worth Your 5 Minutes, where I review a game under 5 minutes to let you know if it's worth your time. This week's game review is Max Mustard, so stay tuned for that at the end of the episode, especially if you enjoyed last week's interview. Also, if you're interested, I will be live streaming Saturday, March 30th at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Twitter, I believe. At least Twitch and YouTube. I'll probably be streaming for about 2 to 3 hours, so if that interests you at all, just come join the lives. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and here is my interview with Grzegorz Fojcik and Bartek Repetowski. Can you both introduce yourselves to the audience and tell us what is Medieval Destiny, the new settlement?
So my name is Grzegorz Fojcik. I'm lead developer here at Spectral Games. I am leading the production for the Medieval Dynasty New Settlement. Basically, if I could describe our game in few words, it would be a mix of different genres, like the flat Medieval Dynasty is. Basically, it's a combination of survival, sandbox, and strategy game. If you like a chill, slow play experience for more than 20 hours at least, I think our game is for you.
My name is Bartek Repetowski, and I am an artistic director in Medieval Dynasty. And just how Grzesiu said, this is a survival, chill-paced game where you can create, when you can build, when you can go wherever you want, and have fun.
Mm-hmm. And can you guys go into depth about what was your journey like here? Because if I'm correct, this is the studio's first game. Is that correct?
The first VR game, right?
Okay. So just starting with you, Bartek, just talk about your journey in video game development.
Okay, so I have 11 years of experience in game development, but this is my first VR game. This is also the biggest project that I was working on as an artistic director. It had its challenges, but I think it turns out great.
And you, Greg?
Yeah, I will just keep it to the VR experience. Basically, I have worked previously on Green Hell VR Quest Edition for 2 years. And in this project, I have not been here at the start, but I have been working on Medieval Dynasty New Settlement for 2 years straight for now. And yeah, I'm having a blast here. And I think we made something good that players will like.
Mm-hmm. And this is a port, correct?
No, it's not.
Okay.
A port.
No, it's not.
It's
Okay.
a complete different game based in the same universe, but it's a spin-off. Basically, it's a spin-off. It's not a port. We don't have every kind of a mechanic. We just made a new game from the ground up, fit for the VR.
Yes,
Okay.
the game is based on a flat version of the Medieval Dynasty, and we tried to take the essence of the game, of the flat version, and translate it to VR. platform.
Okay. So how did this really come about, this whole project? Was the creators of the flat version game, they reached out to you guys, or is it an idea you approached them?
Yes, so basically it started out by our CEO, Paul Sobik, connecting with the Damian Szymański, CEO of RenderCube, the developers of the flat version. Basically, when we were still making Green Hell, when we were working for Incubo, the part of the Incubo, which previously was Spectral Games, split apart. And our CEO decided that we have a great idea for this project that he previously saw, the Medieval Dynasty flat version. So we came up with the proposition, with the pitch to Damian of the RenderCube. They said that we just want to have your IP. We will develop it on the VR platform for the Quest. They really liked our idea because they didn't have any experience in VR market, in VR development, and we had. So we decided to do it this way. And yeah, our cooperation have been good so far. They are perfect teams to make a game together. So yes.
I'll pose this question to you, Greg. From a more technical standpoint, what were the biggest challenges of bringing that Medieval Dynasty world to the VR?
The biggest challenge, I would say, for sure, was remaking the whole gameplay to fit in the average playtime of the VR player, because the flat version gameplay time spans for about 10 hours. Like, you can easily play the flat version for 10 hours straight, sitting behind your computer, and you can have fun. Well, in VR, it's not really possible. So the whole economy, every kind of mechanic needed to be crunched down to fit the average 1 hour of playtime on Quest. So that was a challenge. For example, if I can tell one thing, in the flat version, basically, if you are skinning a bear, you will receive like 60 meat from it with like holding your E button on the keyboard. In our version, you need to manually make a VR motion to skin your bear with a knife. So obviously we won't force you to make 60 slashes of your knife, because you will be tired as well. So we crunch it down to 10. And crunching it down to 10 results in the fact that your workers need to eat less, because you have less meat available. You as well will make hungry less fast as in the flat version. So making that was a hard thing for sure. Another thing was, of course, bringing true open world to the MetaQuest 2, because our whole game right now is based on MetaQuest 2. It has no improvements for the MetaQuest 3 or Pro yet.
Oh, okay.
So bringing the open worldness to this mobile phone basically was a big challenge. But I think we made it look. I think it's very good looking as for an open world game. For example, if you can compare any other VR open world games, if they are counted as VR, of course, basically they have a lot of their world might be bigger than our game worlds, but our world is not empty. We don't have empty terrain fields that are just walking simulator that you are, for example, some games like have open worlds and have like 30 kilometers squared of terrain, but half of it are empty terrain that you just need to skip through. We didn't want that for our players experience. So we made a map, I think, in a sweet spot between the largeness and the open worldness of our map and the size, because our map was designed to be walked by foot and not feel like it's a walking simulator. We have no mounts yet. We don't plan for them, but maybe we will see how the game will develop. We have, of course, fast travel system in, but we didn't want the players to feel like our world is empty. Basically, we designed our map in this core design approach. Like wherever the player will see, they can see a point of interest that they can hook on, go there, and they will find something there. So, optimizing the open worldness to MetaQuest 2 was a big challenge. We really used every single last drop of this hardware to the maximum. And I think it turned out great.
To you now, Bartek. So kind of touching on what he was saying about how the world doesn't feel empty. What was it? I believe in the game description that it's a very, very well crafted medieval landscape that I saw. Can you tell me some insights of what research and what inspiration did you draw from on making it truly feel like an immersive world? And what was that creative process?
Our biggest reference was the flat version of the game. We had it all laid down on the table, so like 80% of the job was done. But just like Grzesiu said, we also had to convert it to the VR platform. So it had to be smaller, more condensed, make sure that when the player is walking, it will always have something interesting to look. So we didn't want to locate the game in specific region of the world. We prefer to left it to the imagination where you can find it. But I think you will be able to see some strong inspiration from the medieval Europe. And this is also what we're focus when we were making the places look the most interesting as we can.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then what makes Medieval Dynasty stand out from other VR sandbox games or just other flat screen sandbox games? This is for either of you.
I think that's just like Grzesiu said, it stand out most because it's a collection of mechanics that is put together in one large world, and it focus on making the player explore the vast land, but not in that kind of survival when you have to constantly think about, do you have enough food? Do you have enough water to drink? You can chill, you can relax, and you can focus on other things. The survival part is also the integral part of the world, but you can easily finish something without worrying that you will die because of starvation or thirst.
If I could add a couple of words to that, I think if we could describe our gameplay experience in one word, I would say it's freedom. Because you can hop into our sandbox game. We give you the tools that you can play with, and you can do whatever you want. Because basically you can become a builder if you are a builder type of guy. You can be a farmer. You can be like a role player. You can just rush through a story, complete the game, and just quit. You can do whatever you want. We don't force you to one gameplay style of a player. I think that every player of archetype that exists can find something interesting for him in our game, and this is something that we really stand out as well.
Mm-hmm. And for Greg, how do those different kind of paths and choices really influence the player's overall experience?
Could you repeat the start? Basically,
what you were describing right now. There's options really, and how does that really influence the player's play style and choices within the game?
For example, in adventure mode, we basically created a story that is a prolonged tutorial, basically, that slowly paces you every single mechanic that we have in the game. So you can have a little snack of every mechanic, and maybe it will like light a light bulb in your head, and you will think like, oh, that's great, I want to go into that. For example, once you finish a story, and maybe you will discover that you can plant apple and pear trees. Maybe you always wanted to have trees in your life, your IRL, or you really like the mechanic that we showed you. Then you can plant them in your village, on your building spot, and go with that. The amount of different choices, I think, is something that player can discover on himself. And this is something that the player can really tailor the gameplay to his needs and his preferences. So I think that basically our game is a target. It has a very wide target of different play styles. Basically, every kind of player can play in our game and be satisfied with other mechanic than any other player can be satisfied. We support the decisions of a player that is a hunter, like more like green hell target, where you can just hop in, build one house in your whole gameplay experience, just go hunting, doing quests, you finish the story, and you quit the game. That is also availability. But of course, we need to tell that our game is mainly targeted to the sandbox player experience, because we want the players to experience every single thing we have in our game, and we will of course add to that after the release.
Is there a uniform storyline that no matter what the decisions are, the player follows, or is it each decision can vary the storyline? Or no story at all, really?
Basically, we have a story that has some kind of decisions inside, but it's not like a story like you would see in a Witcher or like Cyberpunk game, like it's the core mechanic. Our story is not a core gameplay part of our game. Basically, as I said, it's a prologue tutorial. It has some kind of story, quests, and something that is very low level. Like it's not like something that would shoot you out of your boots. It's something solid, we think, that players will have fun with. They can experience it. They can learn the story of the Green Valley in our world. They can learn the past of yourself as a player in our game. So the main core experience as a story is the same for every kind of player. So yeah, that's the answer to the question, I think. Yeah, it's mostly the same.
For you, Bartek, in terms of art direction, how did you approach the design for the interactive elements that you knew that you had to come across in the game?
We tried to our basic rule for creating any kind of interaction was always to be as much immersive as possible. This was like the foundation of every design that we think when we were thinking about simple things like talking to NPCs. For example, how can we do that so the player will feel engaged in the world and in the conversation? We thought about mechanic that you can wave your hand. You are waving your hands to activate the dialogue between you and the NPC. So yeah, this was our basic role. The immersion was our basic foundation for every interaction in the world.
How does the choice of freedom in the game really impact the player's world? Or are there negative consequences, positive consequences? Like you said before, engaging with certain NPCs, not doing so.
I think the player choice shouldn't be something that we punish the player for. Basically, we really didn't want to punish the player for any choice that they make. So we don't really use that rule that your decision might have bad consequences that you don't like. Our game is really casual. We want for you to hop in, don't stress and relax. So basically the choices in the story and the adventure mode are not really as much meaningful as you would, for example, think the cyberpunk story would have. There are something that you get a question, you need to decide about something. You maybe think a couple of minutes about what you should do, but it's not a decision that will have a negative impacts on you in your real life for 2 next days of your life. So the freedom is not is something that we want the player to experience. So it's always something that the player will be rewarded on for. So basically, if you don't, if you are not a player that likes hunting, you can easily play our game without a hunting, and you will just skip the part of skinning animals, doing stuff with leather, hunting, building hunting lodge, making a bow, making a rope, etc. You will just keep that part of experience. But our core gameplay design is something that we have a big box of tools, and you can pick and choose from them whatever you like. We don't expect every player to touch every single mechanic and to play the fullest throughout the whole gameplay experience. So yeah, that's it.
And how long do you feel, I know this is a sandbox game. How long do you feel a player can spend in here? Not given the hour or two of the quest battery.
Yeah, so we calculated that the average length of completing our game will be at least 20 hours. Basically, if you're type of a guy that just builds everything he can and finishes every quest he can, and he finishes the game, that's a margin about that it will be hit. In our design philosophy, the game starts after you build a couple of buildings. So after those 20 hours, the game just starts to be played. So I think something about 100 hours is not something not reachable for the average player that our game is a target of. So I would say at least 20 hours. Of course, if you are a player that like the game, that you are the target, we timed it for at least 20 hours.
Yes, and after you finish the main story, you can also engage in side quests, or you can focus on building your farm or make it bigger. So just like Grzesiu said, the game don't stop when you finish the story.
No. And can that time be shaved off or added to, obviously, depending, like you said, players choosing to go down certain paths and not do everything?
I think the biggest change would be if you would skip adventure mode and hop in just to the sandbox. And that would make the biggest difference of the playtime, because in adventure mode, we just guide you through every single mechanic by a hand. You don't need to figure out yourself how this mechanic works, because we just tell it to you. So in sandbox, for sure, players will spend way much time than in adventure mode. But the choices in this adventure mode doesn't impact how long you can play the game, because you will experience the full content anyways. In the sandbox mode, you just hop into the world and you have almost every recipe unlocked, so you can experience everything however you want. Basically, in story, we guide you through that the hunting lodge, making a bow, etc., is one of the first things that you do in adventure mode. But for some players that don't like hunting, they can just hop into the sandbox and entirely skip that part. And for example, instantly start a farm or apple orchards or pear orchards or anything like that.
And what has been, when creating the game and testing the game, what has been the key point of feedback that you guys worked on and changed as you were developing the game?
I think the core point that we had in mind was that we want that the player should achieve something in every game session he takes. We had in mind that the average game session is about 1 hour, 30 minutes to 1 hour. So we wanted that every time the player comes into our game, loads a save or starts a new one, he can be satisfied with something that he makes at the end of the session. So we make sure that in the first hour of the gameplay, we are mainly sure that you will build your first house. And this is the first milestone. Then we made sure that every kind of building is also buildable in 1 hour, like collectively with collecting resources, finding a place to build, building it. So we didn't want to port the grind experience from the flat version. Like you have to go out chopping wood for 3 hours to build your house, and then holding left mouse button for 15 minutes to build your house. So we made sure that every kind of content that we provide can be started and finished in one gaming session. So the player can stop his gameplay session and be satisfied with what he has done in the past hour. So that was the core thing.
One more thing, if I can add, was also that the world should be as much interactive as possible. So that's why I think that in our game, almost everything you see, you can touch, you can grab, you can use as some kind of resource, or just hide it in your inventory and use later as a decoration. We wanted the game to be, as much immersive as you can think.
And how did you, right? Because the atmosphere and the immersive and the vibrancy of the space or of the world that I saw in the trailer, how have you planned to keep the game visually engaging and visually appealing as the player goes on?
You have the cycle of day and night. You have seasons that change, that also impact what you are doing and how are you doing it. Also, you can visit other locations that vary and are different from what you are see in the main land where you are when you are starting. So also you have different weather conditions. It's not always sunny. You can wake up one day and you will see a storm or heavy rain. So I think our world is vibrant and most of the time I think the player will find something interesting and something new. Even if it comes to different weather, that can change the way you see the map.
And what was the biggest challenge in developing that? Because you seem to have a good grasp, a good understanding of what you wanted. What was the struggles doing creating that?
I have a quick answer for that. The biggest challenge was constant battle between good looking and optimization.
Oh yeah. Is there any plans? Because I don't know. You said it's not going to be on the Quest 3, correct?
No, our game is available on Quest 2, Quest 3, and Quest Pro.
Okay.
We didn't make any visual improvements to the Quest 3 and Quest Pro. Because basically the Quest 3 and Quest Pro have a lot of more firepower available to boost our game even more. But we didn't do it at the release. We planned to make a Quest 3 and Quest Pro visual improvements update after the release. So we can have more time to improve how the game looks strictly on Quest 3 and Quest Pro. Actually, the game won't change visually on the Quest 2 because we used everything we could. We didn't have time before the release to boost it up on other platforms like Quest 3 and Quest Pro. So we will do it after the launch.
And is there any other platforms that we could see the game coming to?
Right now, we only launched the game on the Meta platform. We are not saying no to any future platforms on any other platforms in the future. We will see how the game will be prospering after the launch, and we will see how other platform holders will like to talk to us and where we will be able to make our game available on. But Meta platform as right now is the biggest market for the VR. So we did it first here because it's the biggest possibility that players will see our game there. Any other platforms are subject to change. It's not something that is written in stone right now. And we are not saying no to making our game available on any other platforms like PCVR or PSVR2 or Pico or anything like that.
For you, Bartek, for the immersiveness of the game, how did you guys address motion sickness? What was the what's the accessibility like in this game?
Yeah, so basically you have 3 types of movement if it comes to the way you prefer. You can move with smooth motion. If you are familiar with VR, you can use teleport if you have motion sickness. Also, you have a bunch of settings that help you create the best profile settings you want. You can use snap rotation or smooth rotation. Yeah, I think, Grzesiu, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, we also have vignetting options for smooth movement players. If they are feeling sick, they can turn on a vignette that darks down the edges of your screen, so you don't feel like you're motion sick. And I think the biggest impact that we didn't really develop it, but it worked out. Like the feeling of the embodiment in our game is so big that we had a couple of feedbacks that they said that players were basically motion sick. But for example, if they were embodied in the mechanic of hunting, for example, they completely ignored the motion sickness. Like that just didn't work for them. Like they had no motion sickness and they would just run after a deer with a knife and they would like perfectly walk and not be motion sick. So in terms of VR experience, we have those 2 terms, like the immersiveness and the embodiment. And I think the embodiment is the definition of our game. And this has a big impact on how you feel moving inside our game. If you are embodied in our game, you don't really feel so motion sick like you can be in other games that you are feeling that you are playing a game.
Is there a lot of motion and a lot of different activities that motion sickness can be a possibility?
I think except the basic movement, not really. We don't really have any mechanic that moves you without your willing to move. Like we don't have anything riding or moving you away. We have climbing. This could be something that might some players make heights. Yeah, if they are afraid of heights or something like that, climbing might be problematic, but climbing on the main map is optional, so it's not something that you must.
Yeah, we won't force you to climb if you don't want to. You can always go the way around to reach the same place. Also, if it comes to accessibility, I think we also are aware that you have to pick very big part, great numbers of things from the ground. So we make sure that you don't have to bend every time. We have a system of snapping items or things that you want to grab if you can do it. So yeah.
So by the time this comes out, the game will already be out. Are there any plans? I know you said the optimization for Quest 3 and Quest Pro. Are there any other plans for DLC wise, or what do you guys feel like is the support length for this game?
It's hard to tell exactly how much we would like to support the game. Basically, we have we have a lot of content. Basically, we can restrict the amount of content that we will add after the release is main factor is how the game will be perceived in the eyes of the players. Basically, if the game will be successful at the launch, we are not saying no to supporting it for many, many years to go. I think after the release, it might be out already. We will see when this will come out. We plan to post roadmap that we will describe how the game will be supported after the release. Of course, we plan to add DLCs and later on a co-op update.
Well, also the flat version of the game have a great community, and we would also like to create the VR version of that. So we plan to listen to the community. We plan to listen to what people will say, and also, despite or not despite, to do other things than only fixes. Of course, we have, just like Grzesiu said, a roadmap that I think we will show not soon after the launch.
Is there any plans? I know you guys are fully focused on this game right now. Regardless if the game is perceived well or not, are there any plans for a second game? Not a sequel, but just another game in your studio lineup right now down the pipeline?
Yeah, for sure. We don't want to be. We don't want to have the mark that we are the Medieval Dynasty VR guys. So we are not sitting with our first title to the grace. For sure, we will do another games in the future. The strict fact when our next game will be announced or released is combined with how the first game will be perceived. So yeah, of course, we plan to make another games in the future. Yeah.
Okay. And for each of your roles, starting with you, Bartek, what advice can you give to people that want to do what you guys do?
Be persistent. Be as much flexible as you can, because the process of creating a game is not straightforward. It's not only going from point A to point B. When you will reach the point B, at the end you will go through, let's say, 20 other A's along the way. So be patient, be flexible, and don't be afraid to try new things.
Yeah, I mainly agree with Bartek. The fact that you can't be afraid of trying new things is something that I would say is the biggest thing to success in VR industry. Because we many times see that other games just copy something that is from other game, and they didn't even try to think maybe we can do something better. And I think that what we did is something that really worked out, and something that the VR market right now is missing. So this is a great field to fill out the gaps. Yes.
Yeah, we're hoping to kick some doors open by this game. Because just like Grzesiu said, there is no other game like this on the market right now.
Mm-hmm. And then more specific to what you guys do, can you just give advice about that?
If it comes to artistic part, of the process, the spectrum of the artistic part in game development is very wide, and very often people try to grab everything, try to grab something from every part of the spectrum, and it's cool and it's great to know what things are happen in every part of this of this artistic part. But if you are starting, I would highly suggest that you focus on one thing and try to be the best at it as you can, and the rest will come later. So if you want to, let's say, jump in the game industry and start to work, just try to focus on the thing you think is the best for you and is most satisfying, and don't rush it.
Yeah, I think that many people would like to be in a game dev industry, but it's something that I think it's hard to jump into, because many people just want to be here without doing anything that they can prove that they are good at. So if I could say one thing to anyone that would like to be in the game industry, it's basically just make games. Just be, even if you are a one-man army, just do games. Whatever you think you can do, just do it, make a portfolio, because this is what matters the most. We don't really care as a recruiting person, I could say. We don't really care what degree you have or what school did you finish, but we care what games you made and how much we can see how good you are at your job. Because you don't really need to be good at everything, as Bartek said. As well as art, the programming is also a wide spectrum. You could be like the technical art programmer. You can make shaders and particles. You can be the gameplay programmer, AI programmer, etc. It's a very wide spectrum as well. You don't need to be good at everything, because if someone is good at everything, it's probably bad at everything. So, if you can do one job very well, it's very well profitable. And the games on your portfolio is the most important thing. Even if they are like Tetris copy paste or like Angry Birds copy paste, it's good enough. The passion in game development is the most important thing, I think, in development. So if we as a recruiter see that someone made like 10 games that maybe don't look good or just don't really are so well made, but they are made. It's the dedication that we see from the person. So yeah, that is the tip, I could say.
So speaking of games in your portfolio, what are each of yours 3 favorite games, whether VR or non-VR? I'll start with you, Bartek.
You mean the games that I play? Yes.
Yeah. Your personal favorites or whatever you're currently playing.
So Baldur's Gate for sure. My dirty pleasure is Overwatch. The second part.
Yeah.
And the third game, I have a soft spot for Battlefront and everything that is Star Wars related. So, but Battlefront, the second part, when the servers were still alive, I think was a great game.
And they just had, I know there was some news about Battlefront, right? I don't know, something happened again. The servers are up, or it was a remaster.
Yes, but I think it was this was made by fans, if I recall correctly. Yeah, something is happening there.
Greg?
Yeah, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a big evenement in the past years. It's a true display of game development skill. So I think this must be here. As a Paul myself, Witcher 3 must be here on my top 3 for sure. Oh, sorry. I'm near the roads. You might have heard some motorcycles. Yeah, and the third, I think, would be as well Cyberpunk, I think. Yeah, that is my top 3.
Even at the start, before
it
was polished and everything?
I actually finished the Cyberpunk at the release, despite the bugs, and I had a great fun. I didn't I had a lot of visual bugs that there were existing at the release, but I had fun, and this is something that I was proud of, because the game development in Poland is a very big industry. So the CD Projekt Red is it's an honor to like CD Projekt games like The Witcher and Cyberpunk, because if we support our local game developers, we support the whole industry. And if I'm part of this industry, I would like to support it as well. So yeah, that would be, I think, my top 3.
Okay. As we finish off here, what are either one thing, an idea, multiple things that you're excited for people to discover in Medieval Dynasty?
I would say I would like to see the faces of people that just look out at your guidebook, scroll through contents here and different categories and pages in our guidebook, the Dynasty book, and see the vast amount of content that you can spend your time on. This is something that VR games don't really do right now, because they are mostly line aligned. They are closed. They guide you by the hand. You just come in and experience a game the way the developer wanted you to experience it, in a certain one-way way, I could say. And the biggest fun, I guess, or something that was heartwarming, was hearing a feedback that the players had a lot of fun and they wanted to come back to our game, because they knew that they just have scratched the surface of our game, and that there is a lot of content still hidden beneath. So I'm excited to see people play after the release and look how their villages and how their mechanics look out.
My answer will be similar to what Grzesiu just said. I think I'm very excited when I think that when the player enters our world, he will have a lot of interaction. The world is very big, and whatever he tries to do, there will be some kind of interaction. So I think that this will make the players very happy.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure having you guys on. Again, the game is already out by the time you're listening to this, so go get it on the Quest store. And thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Now, shifting gears a bit, this week's game I decided to review was last week's interview, Max Mustard. Also, this segment will be uploaded by itself in a separate video if you ever care just to watch the review portion and not the full podcast. If you guys enjoy this segment, please leave me a comment down below saying that you enjoyed it. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, I am Bill Rosato. This is Worth Your 5 Minutes, where I give my thoughts and opinions on a game to help you decide if you should buy it and if it's worth your 5 minutes. Today's game is Max Mustard, the second game from Studio Toast Interactive, who you might know from the hit game Richie's Plank Experience. Max Mustard at its core is trying to be the 3D platformer of Quest, i.e. Super Mario Odyssey, Jak and Daxter, and Crash Bandicoot. And I believe it exceeds 100 times over. Max Mustard's movement feels intuitive and easy to master. One of the unique movement styles in the game is Max's boost. If not managed properly, it can set you back a lot of checkpoints. The levels are short but plenty, with over 40 levels that provide a subtle difficulty but almost feel like a false sense of danger, implementing a 3-heart system. Only when all hearts are lost, you reset to the closest checkpoint instead of a full level reset. The level design, in my opinion, is where the game really shines though. You can really see the polish and the effort put in, with no levels feeling reused or lazily done whatsoever. They feel creative and are the core challenge of the game. Enemies are relatively simple, but there's something about bouncing on their heads that makes them entertaining, like the old Mario Goombas. There's a total of 4 sections in the game, which I feel ramp up perfectly in difficulty, including from the first boss to the 4th boss. Graphically, Max Mustard really tries to channel its Super Mario here in graphics. They're fun, they're playful. Each level has its own unique style. You get what the game's trying to go for, but it feels like it's truly its own style of platforming. Overall, the world felt immersive and aligned for all of the game. The game feels and runs super smooth. Through my whole playthrough, I only experienced one bug and was instantly corrected just by waiting about 5 seconds, which in my opinion is fantastic for a VR game. The character's design feels spot on and aligned with those old Crash Bandicoot villains, each feeling unique and memorable. If you were to put an outline or a shadow of one of them, you'd instantly recognize who they were. Audio-wise, unfortunately, unlike some of the games mentioned prior, majority of the soundtrack is quite similar, with a few levels really standing out above the rest, Beatbox 1 and 2, featuring music from Australian beatboxer Tom Thumb. And those 2 levels really blend that unique beatboxing premise with a great level and absolute jammer of a soundtrack. With over 40 levels, coins, and mud-pups to collect, the time trials to beat Max Mustard offer quite a bit of content. This is especially true being you can pass multiple levels without needing to collect all the mud-pups. There's a shop in the game where you're able to buy different power-ups and abilities, giving a varied style to each playthrough. With already announced DLC on its way in the coming months, for being only the 2nd game within 7 years, Toast Interactive by default has a long track record of supporting their games in the length. With about 4 hours plus of content and already announced DLC, this is a truly polished 3D platformer for the Quest, priced at $29.99. Feels just right for what you're getting here and expected to get. Finally, with a gameplay style that feels friendly to the classic 3D platformers of Bandicoot and Odyssey, while not neglecting first-time VR platformer players, Max Mustard delivers a fantastic experience with character design, level design, and hours of content truly standing out, showcasing the best of what Max Mustard is, but just barely missing the mark with its lack of longer levels, harder bosses, and a soundtrack that's close but misses the mark just a bit. Overall, the game tries and achieves its goal of being the 3D platformer for the Quest platform. I give Max Mustard 4.5 out of 5, and I definitely think Max Mustard is worth your 5 minutes. And that'll about wrap everything up. Thank you guys again so much for watching this episode of the Worlds Through a Lens podcast. I hope you enjoyed the new segment. I hope you enjoyed the Max Mustard review, and I especially hope you enjoyed my interview with Grzegorz and Bartek. I hugely appreciate him taking the time out of the day to sit down and chat with me, especially with the busy schedule of the game release. I forgot to ask him in the interview, but I will link all their socials, their website, the link to their game down in the description below. So if you want to go check that out, please go check that out. Again, the game is on MetaQuest Store for $29.99. If this was your first time listening, thank you so much for watching / listening all the way to the end of the episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, basically all the usual sites. You can get podcasts. If you're an audio listener, please feel free to come over to YouTube and watch the full thing if you like the video version. And again, if you guys want to have any say on how the podcast is structured, what questions are asked, what segments get added or taken away, please go over to Twitter at VizmVR, VIZMVR, and send me a DM or reply to a post or comment I made, and let me know what questions you would like to hear, or what you want to see or don't want to see down over there. Thank you again so much for watching / listening to this episode of the podcast. I've been your host, Bill Rosado. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.